Hello, and welcome to your first day with the Melting Pot. You're now what we affectionately like to refer to as a pothead. I bet you're excited to get to work learning all the fun ins and outs, or fond do's and fond don'ts as we like to say. But first, I'd like to introduce you to some of the colorful characters you'll be working with. First off is Michael Cusera, or as I like to call him, Cuddle Bear. Good luck getting past him each day without a big booming hug and a daily affirmation that will leave you feeling both supported and fulfilled. Still in recovery from a lifelong addiction to cynicism, he's made leaps and bounds. But for any that doubt the destructive powers of prolonged pessimism, this is what he actually used to look like. It's a good thing he found God and turned it all around, or I think we all are aware of the path he was headed down. Ben's a lively fellow. One of his trademarks is how quiet he is while he's at his tables. If you're fortunate enough to work side by side with him while in the teens, you'll hardly even know he's there. He's also quite an accomplished linguist and loves nothing more than culturing other people on new phrases. Unfortunately, the only phrase he knows is "puterkas," but you'll gladly hear him exclaim it across the dining hall floor. "Puterkas!" This little ray of sunshine is April. Just look at that smile. Our resident matriarch, April has a reputation for being a bit of a butterfingers when it comes to the dishes. But talk to her and you'll quickly find that's just a big misconception. As April will tell you, not only is she never actually directly to blame, but she's the victim of an elaborate, staff-wide conspiracy. For insurance purposes, however, we do ask that you stay at least 3 feet away from her at all times. Tom is one of our strongest servers and has been working in the restaurant industry for over 37 years. A seasoned veteran, you'll see how easily he navigates the kitchen, even in the busiest of rushes. No matter how much chaos ensues, he is always calm and collected and able to get his task done easily. His only fallback may be his limited wine knowledge, but we see him working on that every day. While getting to know Jerry, you'll quickly notice how he presents himself so uniquely to his tables. It's no secret here, he actually used to sell his body for a living, and he's found a way to transfer those skills here into the restaurant. The mojo? Oh yeah, that's hot, baby. By which I mean spicy, it's Caribbean style. You'll love it. Andy is both a server and an entrepreneur. Outside of this place, he spends most of his time slinging high-priced real estate to the rich and famous. It's remarkable that despite all that success, he keeps coming back. What a team player. It's no surprise how he did it though. After watching his success in selling BlackBerry seductions, he simply reapplied the logic and began targeting lonely middle-aged women. Liz is a lovely girl and a pleasure to work with. But don't let those eyes fool you. Once calling herself Esperanza, Liz escaped the ruthless jungles of South America to start life anew here in Portland. Speculations of her past have her linked to many famous faces, including a supposed love affair with Hugo Chavez. But, as many of us agree, the less known the better. Whatever's hiding behind those eyes is a force none of us care to tamper with. Mike, Liz's current lover and accomplice, was actually a rescue that the staff collectively adopted in 2008. While he continues working on his confidence, we do ask that you reassure him as often as possible and attempt to minimize his stress. He's made a lot of progress in the last several years, but with so much need for approval, it's sad to think what his previous owners must have done to him. Dana's a fine young man, but the recent loss of his life partner Brian has been really hard on him. After hitting the bottle hard and attempting to bury himself in a sea of cheap women, Dana's been arrested 4 times, been to rehab twice, and awarded the Sommelier Apprentice of the Year. However, it was the divorce from his lovely Mexican bride that was perhaps the hardest on him. He too will need a lot of love and affection. Johnny Hickman is perhaps our most timid employee. He tends to be very standoffish and quiet. You'll often see him at tables, especially those with women, burying his head and avoiding eye contact. Don't let this deter you from liking him. He's a wonderful character, and perhaps, with a little poking, we'll break him out of that shell someday. This is Darius, and before you ask, yes, he does model sportswear and loves Lil Wayne. But there's more to him than that. He's also a super handsome Broncos fan. Try not to let him be a blur as he runs circles around you in the back all night long. Jeff Kennedy is one of our resident kitchen managers, and not only does he do an amazing job running the expo line during the busiest of times, but he also takes free time out of his day to help teach Tim how to read. Tim, a comedian's best friend, loves to improv his own comedy. His style is to interrupt whatever story or joke you're currently telling, remove all subtlety and tact, and barricade it with middle school shock value. So, did you guys hear the one about Bill Cosby and Monica Lewinsky?
You mean the one about your mother's pussy?
Well, that's it. He beat me to it. That's your genius, people. There's your king. David, as you may not know, used to live in New York City and loves to tell stories about either ODing celebrities or being shot at. You'll soon find the reason. He recently had a kid and is pretty desperate to make sure everybody knows he used to have an awesome life. But, much like his hairline, it's long gone. And finally, Michael Howell, who you'll see often behind the line because he has nowhere else to go. He's a great worker and has impeccable taste in music, and a little known fact, actually set the world record for involuntary celibacy. At one point, after staying in his room for so long, Sally Struthers actually started a fundraiser for human intervention. But, as you can see, those days are long behind him, and he can be found out on the town 2, even 3 times a year. Well, those are just a few of the many shining faces you'll come to know over the next several weeks and hopefully years. Don't forget to give a hearty handshake to management and let them know you're proud to be a part of their team. And remember, these are the best people you will ever work with.